Hello, my name's Rex Butterfield and I'd like to welcome you to a video about my Quilcom OCTOTAP. That rather psychedelic introduction was one instance of the OCTOTAP with me playing on a very simple synthesizer I made, which creates three sawtooths: left, centre and right. And this is the dry sound of that synthesizer. What happened is that somebody asked if there existed a free multitap delay plugin which had separate outputs for each tap, and I assumed that such things would exist, but I couldn't find any. There may be one or more, but I couldn't find any, so I thought, well, that's unusual, so I'll have a go and make one. Now, for this video, I'm not going to go through all the knobs and controls and what they do and so on, because to be quite honest, that would take a long time, and it's all detailed in the included user guide. So what I'll do instead is I'll run through some of the presets and talk about bits and pieces. But if you need any help with this, some of it's self-explanatory and possibly quite a bit of it isn't. So if you read the user guide, you can find out the bits that you can't work out for yourself. So fairly obviously, the OCTOTAP is a multitap delay with 8 delay elements, which you can configure in parallel or in series with buffer delay outputs, or in series without buffer delays. And that's explained more in the user guide, like everything else is. So for rhythmic repeats 1, we have a very simple setup where we can control the amplitude of the left and right channels together, and here they're set the same. So this is the effect of that. The time framework is set on this panel here, and you can synchronize it with your DAW's tempo or set free time, and you can make the left and right channel have different delay times and offset the balance between those delay times. So we'll go to rhythmic repeats 2, and here on the amplitude or levels graphs, the left and right hand channels have different settings. So if we go to rhythmic repeats 3, you'll see that all these amplitudes are the same here, but we have different settings on the timing sliders. So let's select big parallel chorus, and this uses the delays in parallel, and the advantage of that is we can overlap them, set short times, and modulate with an 8-phase LFO with inversion between the left and right channels for the phases. Now, with judicious use of feedback, we can create reverb type of sounds. So this preset's called the chorus verb. A variation of that I've called the spring chorus, with settings to create a sort of deliberate metallic springy sound. Of course, you don't have to use all 8 taps, and this is just using one tap for a simple single echo. Using these controls, you can make it sound a little bit like a tape echo system. Noise and limited high cut and low cuts and saturation. You can use as many taps as you want, of course, but this preset emulates a 4-head tape echo system. And that has varying feedback around the taps. If you want to use all the taps with an exponential decay or swell, you can use the 8 taps expo decay one, and you'll see there's a button here to set this exponential shape. So there's no feedback here, it's just the exponential shape of the levels for all the taps. And we can have an exponential rise. And preset 11 is makes use of the series 2, which is a chain of delays with feedback around all the delays. So the consequence of that is, as the delay gets passed down the chain, as the signal gets passed down the chain, it will swell as it becomes more complex. Now, if we add prime offsets to the left and right delay times, small numbers, then as the tail decays, you'll hear phasing come into play. This preset is creating a chorus effect by series 2, which is a chain of delays with no buffer delays, and we've got some random delay times set here by pressing the rand button. On that one, the stereo effect is created by having different delay times between the left and right channels. I've called the next preset beat swap because we can choose a tap and set an amount of feedback from that tap around the whole system. So the feedback is just coming from one tap, and with cross feedback on, we get a sort of rhythmic stereo effect. You have the option of setting diffusion on this plugin, which sort of blurs the sound. So on this preset I've made a sort of slapback type echo, but with diffusion. So now it's time to talk about my auto feedback system, the auto limit, which is something I haven't come across on any other multitap plugin. Doesn't mean it doesn't exist, I just didn't find it anywhere. The idea with these auto feedback presets is that you can set a global feedback greater than 100%, which would of course normally lead to runaway oscillation. But when auto limit is turned on, when that oscillation reaches a certain level, it's stabilized. And also you can dry duck that measuring system so that you can introduce new sounds to the feedback, which will alter the timbre of the oscillation. So let's do that. Try auto feedback 2. You have to turn it up. And auto feedback 3, which has a high level of dry signal. The long-term madness preset is a bit of a novelty. If you set the maximum time at 1 second and you set the sliders high on the Series 2 system, then you get a delay, a maximum delay of 16 seconds. So you can get some interesting feedback effects from that. Let's turn the feedback up. Interestingly, that voice seems to resolve into a fixed pattern, and I've no idea why. We have a swing control. If we switch to series swing, you get the conventional sort of swing sound. So one beat is shorter and the other beat is longer, so the overall decay time is the same. You've got a skew control, which makes the timing change during the progress of the repeats. So this one speeds up, and this one slows down. So now I'll talk about the original purpose and the original question of having an output for each tap, and I've also got an input for direct feedback, so you could have an effect and take its output into the feedback pins. For this demo I'm using Reaper, but your DAW may well be very different, and I had to check online to see how to patch the OCTOTAP in to get the results I was looking for. On track 1, I've put an instance of the OCTOTAP. We click on Effects, and if you right click on here, you can drop down to build multi-channel routing for output of selected FX. So I did that already, and you get this row of mixes for all these tracks with outputs from the mix, the dry, and tap 1L to tap 8L. That's my dialogue microphone there. The L means it's the left of a stereo pair, so the slider controls left and right. If you wish to use an external VST effect and feed its output to the delay input, then very importantly, in Reaper anyway, you have to go to File, Project Settings, Advanced, and this box has to be ticked. It's Allow feedback in routing. It says can result in low performance, loud noises. That is normally not ticked because Reaper automatically tries to prevent you accidentally setting up a feedback path, but of course in this case it's actually what we want. Track 2 has my test synth on it, and on tap 2 I've put a reverb, and on tap 5 I put a pitch shifter, and on the mixer I've emphasized the reverb and the pitch shifter, so with no feedback set on the OCTOTAP, this is the sound you get. Now I've arranged feedback from the pitch shifter to the input of the OCTOTAP, and that's done on the routing here. Drag that up there. So from track 9, the audio channels 1 to 2 go to the OCTOTAP inputs pins 3 and 4, which is the input of the delay chain for feedback. So for this demo, I've changed the time to 1/16, and with no feedback set on the OCTOTAP, you get this sound. But when we increase the feedback, it loops round through the pitch shifter, and as expected, for each loop round the delay, the pitch is increased. So we don't need to go too high for this. So that's an example of using a pitch shifter in the feedback loop of the OCTOTAP. So that's my Quilcom OCTOTAP for you, and I hope you have a bit of fun exploring this and seeing what you can do with it. And please read the user guide, because I think you'll need to for some of this stuff. And so until the next time, bye.